The scene is WorldPride in Amsterdam. It is 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, peak club hours.
Exactly. The air is just thick and the bass is pulsing so hard you can actually feel it rattling your teeth.
I can picture it.
Flashing purple lights slice through the dark club, and this massive, packed crowd is just buzzing with this electric collective anticipation as Madonna abruptly pauses her set. The cameras flashed, the crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
It is literally the exact moment that pop music historians and, honestly, nightclub dance floors have been waiting literal decades for.
Right, and our mission for this deep dive is to unpack this absolute bombshell of an announcement. We are diving into Madonna and Kylie Minogue's first ever collaboration, the love sensation Afterhours mix.
Such a massive deal.
It really is. We are going to explore the brilliant mechanics behind that midnight reveal, the brutal internet reactions that followed, a 25-year-old secret involving a bedazzled t-shirt, and finally, a fascinating academic theory about how these two queens conquered the pop world in completely opposite ways. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, so to really appreciate the weight of that moment in Amsterdam, we have to look at the pop culture chessboard right before the move was made.
Okay, lay it out for us.
Well, you have to understand the leverage Madonna currently holds. She is dominating with her Confessions 2 album. The original version of Love Sensation has already hit #1 on Billboard's Dance Airplay chart. I mean, she is riding an incredible wave of cultural dominance.
Right. Meanwhile, Kylie Minogue is playing her cards incredibly close to her chest. Like back in May, she did this major profile with the LA Times where she explicitly shut down all the rumors that she was going to be collaborating with Madonna.
She completely poured cold water on the whole idea.
She did.
Which, if we analyze the specific mechanics of modern PR, was technically true.
Wait, technically?
Yeah, because the rumors swirling at the time were that Kylie would be featured on the standard Confessions 2 album tracklist. She wasn't.
Ah, I see.
This new track is a standalone remix, so it's a classic Hollywood misdirection. By denying the specific, technically inaccurate rumor, she kept the element of surprise entirely intact for the real project.
Wow, that is brilliant. And what a surprise it actually was. Let's paint the picture of that stage at WorldPride. Madonna steps out into the booth wearing this incredible purple leotard, a structured corset, and a skirt.
A total visual homage to her original 2005 Confessions on a Dance Floor era.
Exactly. So she grabs the microphone, the music cuts out, and she just announces, "The lady in purple is here."
And out walks Kylie Minogue,
Yes.
matching the visual energy perfectly in a purple sarong and silver slacks.
The crowd absolutely loses its mind. Like, if you watch the cell phone footage from the venue, you can pinpoint the exact microsecond Amsterdam realizes it's Kylie.
The hysteria is instantaneous.
It is. They both jump up onto the DJ booth alongside producer Stuart Price to debut the track, which officially drops on Friday, August 7th. Looking at it, it feels like watching a cinematic superhero crossover that took 40 years of world building to finally happen.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the strategic brilliance of the release itself. I mean, they didn't just casually tweet out a link or release a generic, radio-friendly pop anthem aimed at teenagers.
Right.
They brought in Stuart Price. That is a crucial detail.
So what does this all mean for the sound of the track? Like, why Stuart Price specifically?
Well, Stuart Price is the legendary producer who architected the original Confessions album. He specializes in a very specific, euphoric, continuous club sound.
Okay, so it's very targeted.
Exactly. By labeling this an after-hours club mix, they are signaling a deliberate sonic choice. This isn't meant for daytime radio airplay. It is designed with dark, sweaty, 2:30 a.m. dance floors in mind.
Which explains the venue choice completely. They aren't trying to manufacture a viral TikTok dance challenge for a teenage demographic that barely knows their catalogs.
Precisely. They dropped a club-specific track at an after-hour set at WorldPride. They are serving this directly, without any middlemen, to their core demographic.
Right, the people who have been there since the beginning.
Exactly. They know exactly who their audience is, where their audience is, and what their audience craves. It is a masterclass in cementing their existing legacy with the communities that have championed them for decades.
But of course, the internet is going to do what the internet does.
Yeah, obviously.
The reaction online was explosive and honestly hilariously divisive. And before we get into the weeds of the Stan Wars, I have to remind you, the listener, we are completely impartial here.
Very important to note.
We are not taking sides in any fandom politics. We are simply reporting the exact words of the public from the comment section of that grape juice.
Ah, yes, the digital town square of pop culture debates.
Very much so. So on one side, you have fans experiencing pure, unadulterated joy. One commenter, Mrs. Lingling, wrote, "Two queens, love it."
It's celebratory.
It is. But then you scroll down just an inch, and the critics are vicious. A user named LOL called the release a bubbling under red flag, referencing the Billboard chart for songs that failed to make the Hot 100, and completely dismissed Madonna's previous single, Bring Your Love, claiming it had less impact than, quote, a wet noodle in a sword fight.
Wow. A highly evocative, if brutal, metaphor.
Oh, the brutality continues. Another commenter, going by Flop Sensation, labeled the new collaboration an absolute dumpster fire by a desperate has-been, claiming they were just flailing around to stay in the conversation.
Ouch.
Yeah, so I have to challenge you on this. When you look at the mechanics of the music industry today, where youth culture dictates the charts, is there any truth to what the trolls are saying? Like, is this a desperate grab for relevance, or is this a genius legacy move?
It is definitively a legacy move, and a highly secure one at that.
How so?
Well, desperation in the music industry usually looks like an established artist chasing a current trend. Like a veteran pop star suddenly trying to make a drill rap record.
Oh, right. We've seen that happen.
Exactly. But what Madonna and Kylie are doing is doubling down on the exact genre they helped invent. They're commanding the space they already own.
That makes total sense. That masterclass in legacy management we just saw at WorldPride didn't happen overnight, though.
No, not at all.
It is the culmination of a dynamic that actually started a quarter of a century ago. And if you're loving these Hollywood twists and industry deep dives, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead, including a secret hidden in plain sight since the year 2000.
Because to really understand the gravity of Amsterdam, we have to travel back to the MTV Europe Music Awards at the turn of the millennium.
Okay, picture the cultural landscape of the year 2000. It is the peak of the tabloid era.
Oh, absolutely ruthless.
The media is obsessed with pitting female pop stars against each other. Madonna steps onto the red carpet, and in a sea of high fashion, she is wearing a simple black t-shirt with the name Kylie Minogue spelled out across her chest in rhinestones.
Such an iconic moment.
For years, the public wondered about the motivation behind that shirt. Was it a joke? Was it a subtle form of shade? Was it genuine admiration?
And the mystery remained unsolved until very recently, when Madonna and Kylie appeared together on a BBC special hosted by Graham Norton.
Yes. Madonna finally confessed the truth behind the rhinestones. She explained that during that specific era, she was in a phase of just putting rhinestones on absolutely everything she owned.
Naturally.
And she was trying to think of singers she was, in her words, slightly in love with. But then she admitted something completely shocking, especially for someone with Madonna's notoriously ironclad ego.
This was a wild moment.
She looked right at Kylie on the couch and said, "I was actually a little bit jealous of you."
Which is a remarkable, vulnerable admission.
Seriously.
I mean, we are talking about Madonna, an artist whose entire brand was built on absolute, unshakable dominance and control.
It totally shatters that impenetrable facade. Madonna explained that she thought Kylie was just so cute, and here is the real driving force behind the jealousy. Madonna's ex-husband at the time apparently had a massive vocal crush on Kylie.
There it is.
Yeah, Madonna literally admitted on national television, "I'll never be as beautiful as Kylie."
That confession completely humanizes this larger-than-life rivalry that the media tried so hard to construct between them.
It really does.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how this relationship has evolved from surface-level pop glitz, like a bedazzled t-shirt, into a deeply profound emotional bond.
Which we finally got to see recently.
Yes, we witnessed the true depth of that connection during Madonna's celebration tour in Los Angeles in 2024.
That was a historic night. It was the first time they ever actually shared a stage together, right?
Correct. After decades of parallel careers, they finally stood on the same stage. And the song they chose to perform was Gloria Gaynor's disco anthem, I Will Survive.
Which is a classic.
It is. Now, if you just glance at that on paper, it looks like a fun, campy, predictable song choice for two dance pop divas.
Right. Very on brand.
But Kylie recently did an in-depth interview with HuffPost, where she revealed the intensely personal, heavy meaning behind that specific choice.
It wasn't just a nod to surviving the cutthroat music industry, was it? There
No.
was a much darker, deeply personal layer to it.
There was. As Kylie pointed out in the interview, Madonna lost her mother to breast cancer at a very young age, a trauma that heavily influenced Madonna's entire drive and career.
Wow.
And Kylie herself is, of course, a breast cancer survivor. Her diagnosis in 2005 and her grueling recovery were incredibly public.
So when they stood on that stage,
When they stood on that stage in Los Angeles singing I Will Survive, it was an acknowledgement of surviving the brutal machinery of the entertainment industry. As women, yes. But fundamentally, it was about surviving deeply personal, life-altering medical tragedies.
that adds such an incredible weight to the performance.
It really does.
Kylie said in the interview, "There was much that didn't need to be said or explained to the audience, but it was understood. That unspoken bond of physical and emotional survival." And it makes you wonder, as a listener, what stands out to you when you see two alleged rivals realize they're actually survivors in the exact same war?
It changes the entire narrative framework.
Completely.
They aren't competitors fighting over a single shrinking spotlight. They are veterans who understand a very specific, incredibly lonely battlefield that almost no one else on Earth can relate to.
It honestly gives me chills when you frame it like that, and it perfectly sets up the next layer of this story, which completely flips the script on how we perceive Kylie's entire career.
Oh, this is the best part.
Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking academic twist nobody saw coming, how everything we thought we knew about Kylie's bubblegum pop persona is actually a brilliant high-level disguise. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
Because when we look at how academia and music critics have historically treated these two women, a very clear, very gendered bias emerges.
We have this fascinating academic paper to dig into.
Yes.
It's from researchers at the University of Granada and the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona, and it is titled "Forget Madonna: The Many Metamorphoses of Kylie Minogue."
The central thesis of this paper is brilliant because it forces us to re-examine our own biases.
How so?
Well, it points out that for decades, feminist academics and cultural critics have enthusiastically celebrated Madonna. Why? Because her control over her career, her aggressiveness, her overt sexual dominance, and her defiance are all traditionally coded in our society as masculine traits.
Okay. So because Madonna acts like a ruthless CEO, breaks the rules loudly, and dominates the room, the academic world respects her as a feminist icon.
Precisely. But the researchers argue that this exact same academic lens has unfairly dismissed Kylie Minogue.
Just because she's different.
Because Kylie presents as hyper-feminine, cheerful, accommodating, and generally unproblematic, critics have treated her as intellectually lightweight. The paper notes that one prominent critic even labeled Kylie an empty signifier or a vacuous Barbie doll.
Let's break down that terminology for a second.
Sure.
An empty signifier basically means a symbol that has no inherent meaning of its own, right?
Yes, in semiotics, an empty signifier is a blank slate.
Right.
The critics are suggesting that Kylie has no strong core identity. They argue she is just a beautiful, empty canvas that producers, music video directors, and audiences project their own desires onto.
Because she changes her look so often.
Exactly. Because she can seamlessly change from a girl next door to a futuristic disco diva to an indie darling. People assume there is no real Kylie driving the ship.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and I have to push back a little bit on behalf of those critics.
Look.
Isn't there actual historical truth to that assumption? Let's look at the mechanics of her early career. Kylie's image was entirely manufactured by three men, her first producers, Stock, Aitken, and Waterman.
That's true.
They literally called their record label Deconstruction.
Yes, they did.
They were famous for deconstructing pop music and building pop stars on a literal assembly line. So if she was literally manufactured by a hit factory, how is it a prejudiced reading to say she lacks control?
That is the exact assumption the researchers dismantle, and they do it by exploring the mechanics of how she operates within that system.
Okay, I'm listening.
They argue that equating hyperfemininity and a willingness to collaborate with a lack of personal control is inherently prejudiced. To prove this, they look closely at a documentary called White Diamond, shot by her close friend and creative director William Baker.
Oh, this was the documentary film behind the scenes during her grueling return to touring after her breast cancer recovery, right?
Yes. And what the lens of White Diamond reveals is not an empty signifier, but a woman with a terrifyingly strong iron will.
Really?
It contrasts her physical fragility behind the scenes with her absolute unstoppable determination to return to the stage. There are moments where her own friends and family are begging her to rest, to stop pushing her body, and she refuses.
Wow.
The documentary exposes the mechanism of her stardom. Her loveliness and her hyperfemininity are not signs of weakness. They are a highly effective shield.
So if I'm tracking this, you're saying her hyperfemininity is essentially camouflage.
Yes.
If she gives the tabloids this flawless, shiny, smiling pop princess to look at, they're too distracted by the sequins to dig into her actual private life.
Exactly. It's a strategy of concealment. Think about the contrast. Madonna uses narcissistic exhibitionism. She puts all her trauma, her sex life, and her politics directly into the work.
Right, she puts it all out there.
She forces you to look at her reality. Kylie uses concealment. The paper argues that Kylie uses an exaggerated, almost drag queen level of glamorous femininity to manipulate the male gaze.
So she's playing a character.
She pretends to be a pliable pop star so that she can fiercely protect her private, actual self from the media machine.
She builds a fortress of sequins. That is a wild reimagining of her career.
It really is.
She is essentially saying, here, look at this shiny object, be mesmerized by the choreography while I keep my real life completely locked away.
Precisely. And the academic paper illustrates this evolution beautifully by comparing the cinematic details of two of her specific tours.
Which ones?
The original Showgirl tour, which was abruptly interrupted by her cancer diagnosis in 2005, and the Showgirl Homecoming tour, which she mounted after her recovery.
The visual details they use in this comparison are just incredible. Walk us through the shift on that stage.
So in the original Showgirl tour, there is a thematic segment called Denial. In it, Kylie actively plays a subservient victim.
Okay.
The stage direction literally leaves her lying on the floor, surrounded by male dancers looking alone and defeated. She is presented in relation to men manipulating them perhaps, but still entirely dependent on their gaze.
What was she wearing?
Costuming is key here. She wears a delicate, fragile lace catsuit with a red flower pinned in her hair.
Very soft, very vulnerable. But then, post-cancer, she revamps the entire narrative for the Homecoming tour, and the shift is dramatic.
It is radically different. She completely cuts that denial segment. It is replaced by a new segment called Samsara, which explores the Hindu concept of reincarnation and cyclical rebirth.
Literal rebirth.
Exactly. Instead of a delicate victim lying on the floor, Kylie emerges as a Hindu goddess, physically breaking invisible chains. The delicate lace catsuit is gone.
Replaced by a fierce Dolce & Gabbana leopard print catsuit and literal red boxing gloves.
The visual metaphor couldn't be louder. The fragile kitten becomes a predatory tigress. The paper highlights this specific wardrobe and staging shift as Kylie actively reclaiming her narrative.
She's taking control back.
She isn't a blank slate being dressed up by men. She's the director of the play, and she is in on the joke. The researchers connect this ability to seamlessly rewrite her own mythology to feminist scholar Donna Haraway's concept of the cyborg.
Okay, when I hear cyborg, my brain immediately goes to Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. But in this academic context, what does that actually mean?
Right, so in feminist theory, Haraway's cyborg isn't about robots or sci-fi assassins. It is about rejecting strict biological boundaries. A cyborg is a protean creature, something in a state of perpetual transformation.
So always changing.
Exactly. By calling Kylie a cyborg, the researchers mean she treats the mechanical, manufactured aspects of pop music, the styling, the personas, the choreography, as modular tools. She plugs them in and unplugs them as needed to survive the industry.
Wow.
She isn't a machine, she is the architect of her own software.
So instead of being trapped by one authentic identity, she uses artificiality as a superpower. That completely reframes how you view her entire discography.
It really does.
And it brings us to this incredible grand unification between Madonna and Kylie right now in 2026.
It really does. Despite taking two completely polarized paths, Madonna adopting masculine control, loud rebellion and exhibitionism, and Kylie adopting hyperfemininity, quiet subversion, and concealment, they've arrived at the exact same pinnacle of the music industry.
And the stats back that up. They have officially tied for the all-time UK chart record. They are the only female solo artists in history to have #1 albums across 5 consecutive decades.
5 decades. Let the sheer mechanics of that sink in. 5 decades of survival in an entertainment industry that famously, ruthlessly discards women the moment they turn 30.
It's unheard of.
Madonna achieved it by loudly breaking the rules and forcing the industry to adapt to her. Kylie achieved it by quietly bending the rules, wearing the camouflage of a pop princess until the system worked for her.
So, what does this all mean when we bring it back to that club in Amsterdam? It makes that midnight moment at WorldPride so much heavier. When you see them up on that DJ booth, bathed in purple light, debuting a Stuart Price club mix, you aren't just looking at two pop stars promoting a Friday release. You are looking at two architects of modern culture who survived the machine and lived to tell the tale.
Which brings up a truly fascinating question about the future of music itself.
What's that?
If Madonna and Kylie have managed to physically, emotionally, and artistically reinvent themselves for 5 decades in a notoriously youth-obsessed industry, what does this mean for the looming era of AI-generated pop stars?
Oh, wow.
When algorithms can create perfect, ageless, flawlessly obedient digital singers who never age, never get sick, and never rebel, will we actually crave the messy, resilient human history of real survivors like Madonna and Kylie even more?
That is a question that is going to stick with me. As the cameras flash and the crowd freezes, maybe we are holding on to that shared humanity harder than ever before. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.